Alex Cross, page 224. All rise for the Honorable Judge Felicity Lautner, the bailiff called out, and everyone rose to their feet. The judge, a tall white woman with a lace collar on her robe, smiled curtly out at the courtroom as she ascended to the bench. Please be seated, she said. Alex took a seat and then a deep breath, too. Next to him was Deidre Tennant, Deidre Tennant, his criminal attorney. As much as it was possible to be ready for something like this, they were. The Washington, D.C. Superior Court was in a vast white concrete building next to the MPD headquarters on Indiana Avenue. Alex had been here dozens of times, if not hundreds, but never like this. The grim look on Bree and Nana's faces said it all as they sat quietly waiting. This trial couldn't be over soon enough. On the other side of the room, June and Melissa Yang, the wife and daughter-in-law of Stanley Yang, sat near the prosecutor's table. A 7-woman, 5-man jury was seated on the far wall under the large vintage photo of the Washington Monument. Let me thank you all ahead of time for your efficiency, Judge Lautner began. I've looked over the briefing documents and don't expect this should take more than a few days to complete. Alex was glad to hear it. D.C. judges were notoriously cautious about having their cases overturned on appeal, and most preferred to take their time. Trials in Washington generally took longer than anywhere in the country, but not on Judge Lautner's watch. As Miss Tennant entered Alex's not plea guilty, and both lawyers made their opening statements, the Yang's attorney, Robert Shankin, called his first witness. It began with an assistant medical examiner who had responded to Mr. Yang's fall on the fateful day in June. Mr. Shankin's questioning, the AME reported that the bruises found on Mr. Yang's arms could easily have come from some kind of tussle or struggle before he'd fallen. On cross-examination, however, Alex's lawyer, Deidre Tennant, got to the doctor to freely admit that those bruises could have also come from the fall itself. Up next, Mr. Yang's wife, June, testified in a halting voice about hearing an argument on the front of the porch that day. As far as she could tell, she said, Alex had been aggressive from the moment he'd arrived, and then rude and dismissive when she'd come outside to find her husband unconscious on the sidewalk. Alex's heart clenched as he spoke. He'd been giving CPR to Mr. Yang when his wife came out, and yes, it was entirely possible that he'd come off as rude in that moment. Still, it was hard to watch this woman in so much pain, even as she testified against him. If nothing else, the fact that she hadn't actually seen Mr. Yang's fall meant her testimony was only worth so much to the prosecution. Finally, Alex himself was called to the stand. He wasn't required by law to give testimony. The Fifth Amendment guaranteed that, but it was important to Alex and Janie and Damon and Ollie to know he had nothing to hide. He wanted the court to hear his story, and his legal team had reluctantly agreed. Once Alex was sworn in, Robert Shankin adjusted his red-striped power tie, stood up, and walked slowly toward the witness stand. Detective Cross, he said, can you describe what happened on the afternoon of June 30th in front of Stanley Yang's home? Sure, Alex answered. He'd been over it in his mind every day for the last 6 months. There was no forgetting it now. I came to ask Mr. Yang a few follow-up questions about his son's murder charge. When I got there, Mr. Yang was understandably upset, and things turned tense very quickly. Then, as he came out through the screen door, he pushed me straight back. I remember that I stumbled and took 3 steps towards the stairs. And you didn't fall? The attorney said. No, Alex said, but Mr. Yang continued to advance on me at that point. Where was your police weapon? Holstered at my side, Alex answered. Okay, please continue. Mr. Yang advanced, and I stepped to my right to get out of his way. Excuse me? Mr. Shankin interrupted. You were at the very top of the porch stairs as Mr. Yang came toward you, and you stepped aside? He spoke the last 2 words as though stepping aside were a crime, not a normal impulse. Well, that's right, Alex answered. Mr. Yang was quite agitated and... Did it occur to you that he might not have seen the stairs behind you? Not in that moment, no, Alex answered. It all happened in a second, maybe 2. That's when Mr. Yang lurched forward and fell off the porch. How far from him were you at this point? Not far, maybe 2 feet, Alex asked. Would you say you were less than an arm's length reach away? Shankin stepped toward the witness stand and extended his hand until it was just shy of Alex's chest. This close? Yes, I'd say so, Alex answered. He knew where the attorney was going with this. There's nothing to do but tell the truth. And what kept you from reaching out to grab Mr. Yang, or to stop him from making that fall? Shinigan said. I did reach, Alex answered. If my reflexes had been a fraction of a second faster, we wouldn't be here today. The prosecutor turned to face the jury now. And did you touch him in any way, Detective Cross? My hand brushed off his arm, Alex answered. So it's possible that as you reached out, you may have even pushed him? He said. Objection, Your Honor! Deidre Tennant was on her feet now. Mr. Shinigan is widely speculating here. Sustained, Judge Lautner answered from the bench. Mr. Shinigan, would you care to rephrase that? Robert Shinigan didn't miss a beat. My point, Detective Cross, is that you showed up at the Yang's home as an officer of the law. You initiated conversation you knew would upset Mr. Yang, and yet... Objection! Is there a question here? Tennant called out. Judge Lautner gave a stern glance to the prosecution. Is there, Mr. Shinigan? Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm just about there, Shinigan answered and turned on Alex again. You engaged in a contentious conversation with Mr. Yang by your own description, and at that charged an emotional moment, you failed to protect Mr. Yang when he came toward you. In fact, Detective Cross, you cleared the way so Stanley Yang to fall down the stairs. So my question is simply this. Is all of that accurate? Alex resisted the temptation to grit his teeth in front of the jury. Robert Shinigan knew exactly what he was doing. Detective, he prodded. That's physically accurate, but has nothing to do with my intention, Alex answered. I wish I'd been able to stop that fall, but I couldn't. I see, Shinigan said as he turned away once more. This last part was just for the jury. So while I can't prove malicious intent here, it does seem to me that you had everything you needed to keep Mr. Yang safe, Detective Cross. Your Honor! Tennant called out. At what point does this monologue end? Is Mr. Shinigan's auditioning for a movie or making his case? That's quite enough, Mr. Shinigan, the judge said. I'm done, Your Honor. No further questions, the attorney said, and walked back to his table without another glance. The 12 jurors likewise seemed to avoid Alex's eyes when he looked over. Maybe testifying had been a mistake. Maybe even a fatal one. The sense of it dropped like a stone into Alex's gut, but it's too late to take it back now.